This is our 2020 year in review.
He hated my intro. Okay, 2020 is coming to an end. Just kidding, we're a little late filming this, and
It came to an end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 2021. Basically, we're just gonna walk through our year, things that happened, highs and lows, and then we'll go through some of our like best, worst, favorite things of the year, so we can look back at it later and do this again every year and see how it changes.
Future Bronson and Megan, this was 2020. 2020 overall was not a great year for most people. A lot of things happened, a lot of world-shattering events, global pandemic that affected everyone, elections in the United States, social unrest, fires in multiple parts of the world, explosions, unexpected deaths, supply shortages, loss of jobs. I mean, the economy crashed in March. I mean, just in general, I feel like everything that could have gone wrong kind of went wrong.
We're really fortunate that we both have kept our jobs, and a lot of the world went to working from home when the pandemic hit. I feel like we're in the best category for people for that to happen. We don't live alone. We don't have kids that were home.
Yeah.
And we had an office, a space to work already set up
Yeah.
because we have extra bedroom. Let's just go through kind of month by month things that happened, because we did still have a lot of really fun things happen.
Yeah. The year started off fine.
Even through the pandemic.
And, we found ways to, I guess, just work through it. Basically, everybody had to find a way to just deal with this, because I feel like everything that happened was completely out of everyone's control.
Everyone's year got ruined, but in some way. We're basically gonna go through pictures on our phone starting in January and just like see the things we did. I mean, we weren't even in a state that had to stay home as much as like other places, but we still were just at home a lot.
We got married in September of 2019. So this is our first full year being married, living in this condo. And then January of 2020.
Yes.
Off to a great start.
Yeah, so, I mean, the main thing for, both of us, but me in January was I got a new job. I got a job at Hover State, a company that's based in LA but has a small office here in Lehigh through a friend. The position is experience designer, and I've learned a ton. Looking back, I'm like shocked they hired me. I'm not just saying that to be like down on myself. I literally don't know what the situation was.
For future us and future anyone who watches this is called imposter syndrome.
But my skill set, I'm not even doing half the things I did at my past job. And I feel like every week there's something new I have to do that I've never done before. I can see the building that I work in from our porch right there. So, very nice.
I'm still working for MX, which is also behind us. In the beginning of 2020, everything was just business as usual. I was about a year into starting as an engineer on the analytics team, and I was just writing code.
Yeah, it was nice because we both work on the same street, just like a mile apart, and that is also like a mile from our house. So we would one of us would drop each other off, and then we'd do pickup at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It was so easy and nice.
It's been a solid
5-minute
setup
commute.
right here. One of the first things we did this year was paint the kitchen.
Oh, that sucked.
This is January.
So we started redoing the kitchen, which turns out like when we're gonna be done, we're gonna have redone almost everything in it.
We chose a color that we thought was gonna be more gray, but it turned out to be kind of bluish. And so we repainted the cabinets and put on new hardware and kind of started our kitchen remodel.
That project was a beast.
It was...
No, looking back, you're like, it wasn't that bad. No, neither of us wanted to finish it. It like stayed in that extra room because we did not want to touch it anymore.
It was just tedious. It took a long time. Yeah. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, January 11th, I was snowboarding in some of the best powder that I've found in Park City. It's that little tree spot. You come out of the trees into this little opening. That snow, that spot, that experience like fueled the rest of our year snowboarding, and like brought us into this year of snowboarding?
So we invited like, I don't know, 30 or so friends over. We called it like a housewarming / Megan / birthday / Bronson's birthday party. And it was fun to just have like different groups of friends over and be able to mingle and stuff because we have friends in different areas that don't know each other. So that was a fun event.
Yeah, it was fun.
We both attended like a tech conference together in January. That was fun. Let's go to February.
So I've started using my camera a lot more, and I filmed a couple things for Brandon J. Warren in his music career. So at the end of January, we flew out to San Francisco to visit Robbie and Maggie.
Yeah, it was really fun. So we stayed with them in Palo Alto for a day. We went to Big Sur, which was just on my bucket list of like places in America I'm dying to go. That was awesome. And then we spent a day or two in San Francisco, the city, as well.
Yeah, that was a really cool trip, except that is when COVID like first hit. I mean, that it first had any effect on like me or us, because Robbie was working at Facebook, and I was super stoked to like go see Facebook and tour the campus. We went and we go to check in, and they had closed the campus to visitors because of COVID-19. So that was the first like, sorry, you can't come in, like no visitors. They just kind of put a damper on that part of the trip. And that was the first time that it was like, okay, like COVID is starting to kind of hit and be real.
Yeah. It was like as soon as we got home from San Francisco, I was when the United States started talking about COVID a ton and like what's gonna happen, and like Italy started blowing up, but the world kept going on. America kept being America.
And March was the beginning of
the panic shopping. There was a stat that came out like a month or two after in Utah, like by like almost 100%. Does that make sense?
Oh, they were above everyone else by
yes.
over 100%.
Yes, and how much they panic shopped. And I specifically remember the conversation we had. We don't have a pantry, like we just have cupboards. We put food in it, so we don't like have a ton of stuff on like in stock, I guess, at our house all the time. And I remember you being like, I'm so worried that we're gonna run out of food just because we don't have any, and then there's not gonna be any left in the grocery store because everyone else is panic shopping.
Yeah.
And
that we kind of had to panic shop,
to go and get just some like canned staples and stuff we probably should have had anyways. Do you remember going to the grocery store and it being, oh my gosh, I mean people's carts, crazy panicking.
Yeah. Shelves were empty.
Yeah.
Hand sanitizer, toilet paper, tissue paper, all of that stuff was completely sold out everywhere you looked. It was like a black market for toilet paper.
And then end of March, it was the weekend of like, I want to say it was around March 20th, both of our companies said, hey, you're gonna go work from home well, yours did say 2 weeks. Mine just said just go work from home because we have the ability to with our jobs. So that was when we started working from home, which we're still doing.
It was supposed to be 2 weeks, and we're 10 months in.
We already had an office space set up in one of our spare bedrooms, but we like kind of reconfigured that to like be working there every single day, and we became each other's only coworkers in person.
It's been great. I mean, it hasn't been that bad.
Yeah.
This has been, just as a side note, I mean, this has been a unique first year of marriage, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're together a lot.
Yeah.
All the time. Let's go to April.
Okay.
The 2 weeks ended and like no one was like going back to the office. So we're like, okay, we're probably gonna be stuck at home for a while. Let's start like exploring where we can, like in Utah, that's like open and available. So we started kind of just like going on drives. I'm glad this happened, not the pandemic, but like because we actually found a lot of places by us that like we never would have probably found.
True.
But yeah.
We went driving like as far west on this road as we could drive, and took us out in the middle of the desert. We took some trips out to the Salt Flats for the first time. I mean, the Salt Flats, like, everybody knows about them, but I just never been.
And I do feel like that was probably the month that we were at home and not seeing anyone the most.
Yeah.
Well, April, May, probably.
I also shaved for the first time in like
I'd never
4 years.
I married this man without ever seeing him with a completely shaved face.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
April is also when I dove into FPV. So just another one of my hobbies. It's been
That's
kind of a
exciting.
fun
That got
video.
you through a lot of things.
That did get me through a lot. I spent a lot of time just like researching stuff like that, researching parts, like just watching videos and kind of getting inspired, and that I think kind of took my mind off of everything else happening.
The lack of photos I have for the month just proves how little we were doing. Honestly, we had it much better than a lot of other places in the world and in the country because one, we had the chance to like drive 30 minutes to an hour in like any direction, and there's like super cool things to do outdoors that were like we felt comfortable with doing, and also not quite as many things closed, or not as many things stayed closed as other places. I decided I want to like have making pizza be a thing for us, like everything from scratch. So we started experimenting with different like dough recipes. It was really fun, and we're still doing it.
May. The beginning of May. Do you remember what happened in the beginning of May?
I didn't, but then I saw this picture,
Yeah, I saw the same picture.
and it's really sad. That's just like, you can just see the tears in my eyes.
I know. So
I broke my collarbone.
there's a path out behind where we live, and we were just longboarding. And there's kind of this part where it goes down into a little bit of hill. I mean, it's not like a super steep hill, but you pick up speed as you start to go down this part of the hill. And Megan was just...
I just went over a crack.
I mean, yeah, there's
too
kind of
fast,
some big cracks.
and then there was another crack shortly after, and that second crack, I just lost balance and fell off and landed like on my side. Like I remember very well hitting, and it was extremely painful. And you might go like that without hurting. So we went to the ER, and I broke my clavicle, which I learned is the same as a collarbone. I didn't know that was the same thing. The doctor was like super casual about it, and I honestly couldn't even tell if she was joking. Which, like, why would a doctor joke? But she was like, well, you broke your clavicle. And in my mind, I was like, oh, at least it's not my collarbone. That was dumb. That was a dumb moment.
My mom was also in town
Oh, yeah.
because my grandma wasn't doing so well. She really started getting sick in May, so my mom flew out to just be with her and be with her sisters. And
It was fun to hang out with them a lot
yeah.
for that period of time.
The end of May was also George Floyd. George Floyd was a black man that was murdered by police. It was caught on camera and spread very quickly through social media and just like through the news, and turned into
Extreme civil unrest.
yeah, protests, riots broke out in multiple cities and kind of started a whole new era of protesting racism, protesting police brutality, and just a lot of issues that have existed in America for a long time that were just coming to light again.
It just blew up on social media like crazy because we're all sitting at home with nothing to do. So we have more time to research it, look into it. It opens up a lot of people's eyes, myself included, to a lot of things that I just wasn't necessarily taught in school. I had to like unlearn some things about race. I had conversations with people, and I saw conversations on the internet that I just had never had before.
I went to a couple protests
with
downtown Salt Lake
Connor.
with Connor. I would also say that like that event and kind of sparking this protesting and stuff like that was the beginning of the divide. I think racism is a divisive topic, and people
for
sort of
whatever reason, why we can't all get on the same page about it.
I don't know.
Blows my mind. But
sadly, it started to split down political lines. I think that a lot of that started in May with George Floyd.
I also feel like this is the era that you found out that you're kind of a Democrat.
I've always been pretty like politically ambiguous. Haven't really cared about politics that much. But I think after a lot of things that happened this year, I'm definitely more left-leaning than right-leaning.
So my collarbone started healing after about 6 weeks. And so when June came, we started really getting outside and doing things because it was definitely warm, and we had, got to take advantage of the area we live in while we live here. So we started going on a lot of hikes, exploring in mountains. We started biking a lot. That's when we found all these awesome bike paths by us that, again, I don't know if we would have found without coronavirus. There was a wildfire like in the mountains, like closest to us in June. we drove to go see it. I don't know if that's bad. Should I admit that? It was pretty scary. I felt bad, but luckily, like, the firefighters stopped it. Thank you.
Also in June, my grandma passed away. So that was really sad. I think, without having my grandpa around, she just sort of was ready. I mean, it was just kind of her time. So she got sick, wasn't doing well for a couple months, but it was it was a relatively quick passing, and it wasn't because of any major trauma or anything bad. So she had all of her kids around her for her final days, and that's all anybody can hope for. But
peaceful.
Yeah, she passed peacefully. What happened in July? I mean,
I feel like, again, every weekend we went out and did a hike, because also we were prepping for our hike with my parents.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this was a highlight for me. We went to Albion Basin in July, which is like the prime time to go. And every year I mean to do that, and I don't. It was gorgeous. It was so pretty. Luckily, we got pictures and videos in it, so I can remember that forever. Our world is so pretty. It's just one of those spots where I was like, I can't even believe this is like happening, and this is natural, and this is real.
We had a fish, a cool little blue betta fish. His name was Gerald. He died in July.
Another highlight of the year was we actually got to travel with many COVID precautions. End of July, going into August, we went to the East Coast on a trip with my parents, and we met up with some of their friends along the way. And it was so fun. We flew into Boston and then drove up to Maine, and we went to like Acadia National Park. Gorgeous. We hiked the highest peak with my parents in Maine, Mount Katahdin. Katahdin. That was a long hike, and there were some scary parts. I think it was 10 or 11 miles.
That was such a cool hike.
Took all day.
There's this part where you sort of climb these rocks for like a couple hours, and it was so cool. I've just never hiked in that kind of. It was so cool. I mean, you're scaling these big rocks, and there's not any sheer drop-offs on either side, but like you're way up there, and it was completely covered in fog, and so you couldn't see like 10, 15 feet in front of you, which just made it even cooler. I enjoyed it. Cool. I think Megan was.
I'm glad I did it.
Less than stoked about that part.
Coming down is so hard. Like 5 miles back down when you've worked so hard to get up is just hard, and it was a little scary at some points for me. I did another decently long hike in Vermont. Mm-hmm. We went to the Ben & Jerry's factory. Stayed in like the cutest Airbnb on the farm. It was cool. The coolest place that my mom had found.
Yeah, learned a lot about goats. I didn't know that they all traveled in little lines and followed each other around.
Super cute.
Cool. Yeah.
And then ended up in Boston just for a day where we were able to. Neither of us had ever been to any of those states, so. We did a little bit of exploring in Boston. So that trip brought us into August. And then what else happened in August? So for the month of August, Bronson started a 30-day video challenge where he was gonna post a video on his creative account every single day.
I successfully completed that. 2020, there was just a lot going on, and not a lot going on, but a lot going on in the world. I was just feeling not creative, and I just wanted to be creative in some way.
I feel like that took over a lot of our month, and in a good way, because again, it got us getting out and doing things that's oh no, I don't have a video for tomorrow. We need to go on a hike, or we need to go do something, we need to make cookies, we need to do something. And I feel like
I was busy every day.
Yeah.
Because I was making these videos.
We were able to get some friends involved. I feel like throughout the year we kind of had been seeing some friends certain amounts. Or once in a while,
we stuck to a core group of people that we trusted and knew also weren't going out with big groups. So
so we got to incorporate them into some of them, and Connor. Most of August was just doing that kind of stuff, which was great. I had a great time.
I called it Vlogust because video blog August.
That's also when you got COVID.
Oh man, we went to a wedding, and I
shouldn't have gone. I'm just gonna say that we should not have gone.
Yeah.
My parents came into town. We went to a wedding that was very small. In comparison, it didn't have a reception and dancing or anything. It was just an outdoor ceremony and then a lunch. But my dad and Bronson, we don't know if it was from the wedding or something else, because we did My parents had obviously been in airports that weekend. We don't know.
But that might have been it. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Either way, we shouldn't have gone.
Megan's dad and I
I'm
both
sorry. I love that cousin. But...
tested positive for COVID-19, and that sucked. Megan did not test positive. She got tested a couple times and test positive. Her mom also did not test positive.
No symptoms.
COVID sucked. It was terrible. I had
around
no
for 2
energy.
weeks. Yeah.
I was very fatigued. I was very dizzy, lightheaded. I had a headache for a couple weeks. I had some trouble breathing. I kind of felt like I had like a dry cough.
And once we got the positive result, we did like separate, and like I tried to be the only one in the kitchen making food, and like separate bathrooms, separate beds, separate rooms for like most of the day.
Yeah, I kind of like quarantined
me
myself.
Not get it.
To
yeah. But we were
wipes down like everything I was touching. I mean, I would say that I had a pretty mild case of COVID. It still affected me, and I lost my sense of taste and smell. I'd say that was probably one of the worst parts about getting COVID, because it almost made me even more sick because I just didn't want to eat. There was no sensation of any flavor other than like savory or sweet. It just sucked. COVID sucked, man.
So right after like our quarantine was done, I got tested again. I didn't have it. We packed up for the month of September and part of October. We packed up our car, and I mean, we like packed it. We filled it. We brought bikes, longboards, our work setup, monitors, keyboards.
I brought my computer, my whole
PC.
Computer, my whole PC.
Like packed up our Xterra and drove to California. And we went and stayed with Bronson's mom for 6 weeks. My brother was there as well. It was party.
Gentry was there. We just like did a lot of stuff. I mean,
yeah, we worked, so we were still working from home full time.
Went to the beach a bunch, just kind of explored some San Diego.
Biking, yeah.
It was kind of just let's get out of the house and let's just go do this same routine somewhere else.
It's great. I'm so glad we did that. It was awesome.
September was, it was fun.
We also celebrated 1 year of marriage.
Yeah, anniversary.
I planned a little 2-day trip to Laguna Beach for us, which was super fun because neither of us had ever been. It was really nice. We just got a hotel.
It was a really cool hotel. It was like a sports hotel, like a gym hotel. Like it was half gym, half hotel.
Went to the beach, ate some good food. It was a good time.
Yeah. We went to Lake Powell with Matt and JC, Brandon and Annie, and the little babies. Spent a couple days. We got an Airbnb really close to Lake Powell, and just hung out and just kind of escaped the everything going on.
It was really fun.
I also won a drone at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won my Mavic Air 2 at work.
Yeah.
So I flew that for the first time in Lake Powell.
So we went back to San Diego. And Anna and her kids, Cole and Jade, happened to be in San Diego for a long weekend. We saw her twice. I spent a day with her downtown San Diego, and then we also went to dinner with her and her kids, and that was super fun.
Jade was not a fan of me. We didn't get along at all. She was very
we hadn't seen Jade since she had been 1 month old, maybe.
Yeah. Hard stranger danger. So, if Jade ever watches this or sees part of this in the future, you didn't like me, but I forgave you. Then in October, we got our new fish, Frank.
Oh, Frankie.
Yeah.
Yes, another beta. We went with a red one this time.
And I really kind of stepped up my beta fish game, I think. I think I made some mistakes with Gerald, and I tried to correct those mistakes with Frank.
I feel like, again, a lot of October was just filled of conversations of politics. I am really frustrated with myself and with what happened. I would blame our president he won't be our president in a couple days. Again, with just the divide of, man, if I see something out in public that makes me assume that you're a Trump supporter, or if you post something, I'm gonna be honest, my thoughts slightly change about that person. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And I hate that it's done that, because I want to be friends with all types of people, and I am, and, accept each other's differences, hear each other's opinions. But I just was so invested, I feel emotionally, about some of the issues and about the president himself, that I just couldn't even I couldn't even deal with seeing things like that.
I mean, definitely coming up to the election was another big spike in this divide that I was talking about. And again, I feel like it's partially fueled by the fact that we're all just sitting inside the entire year with nothing to do but just scroll through social media. Once you get on to sort of one thread of an idea, like social media will just take you along that path. And so everybody ends up in these echo chambers where you just like hear what you want to hear and you find people that agree with what you've heard. It got bad. But yeah, I absolutely blame Donald Trump for that. Like, there's no getting around the fact that he was a divisive president. How would the leader of the country even say things like that? I mean, he was just disrespectful.
I don't want to talk about him on
and
this. I don't want to even.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even say his name.
Yeah, you did.
No, I said the president.
You said Trump supporters.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah.
I did.
Anyway, obviously we're just not big fans of that dude. But yeah, that was a lot of October and into the beginning of November.
Yeah, then November, that first week, obviously we voted.
We did vote.
And I feel like November started getting really cold. We did go up into the Cottonwood Canyons, which are my favorite, and do like a cute couple photo shoot in the snow. I love those pictures.
Those are cute.
It's a fun thing to do, and same with like we did a last hike of the year in November before it got super cold.
For Thanksgiving, we again, like not a lot of stuff going on. People weren't really gathering. A lot of people weren't seeing their families. So we just stayed in and had Chinese food for Thanksgiving.
It was bomb.
Yeah.
And we watched the Into the Spider-Verse, one of our favorite movies.
Yeah, great movie.
With my family, like via chatting while you watch it kind of thing.
Like
I feel like in the
Netflix
future
we'll
have a better way to do that. But
yeah.
And then the next day after Thanksgiving, we did something that we've wanted to do, and I'm so glad we did it since we're gonna be moving next year and can't. But we went into the mountains in Heber and cut down our own Christmas tree.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah, that was
like
very cool.
Straight up from the wild. It wasn't even like a Christmas tree farm. Like we got a $20 permit and just got to go pick a tree. It was very, 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 very cold, but it was a really cool experience.
I mean, it was cold, but I always say,
I was uncomfortably cold.
if you're dressed for the occasion.
I was,
you won't be
man.
cold.
I was in my warmest stuff.
Yeah. In December, I also started building my new PC, so that was cool. It's kind of a highlight.
There's shortages in manufacturing, so we can't get the things that we want sometimes.
Yes, and that has been very apparent in the world of technology. Specifically, PlayStation launched the PlayStation 5, Xbox launched the Xbox Series X and Series S, and Nvidia launched a new line of graphics cards. And it's just been this crazy shortage where like
Nintendo Switches were like impossible to find for a while.
People were scalping Nintendo Switches for hundreds of dollars over their price tag. The kind of thing where you have to just like rage click the refresh button to even hope for a chance. I got very lucky, and on launch day of the Nvidia RTX 3060 Ti, I got one from Best Buy.
This is also when I cut my hair, which was a really big deal for me.
Yeah.
It grew, I feel like in this year more than it typically grows, and it was like touching my butt. And so I chopped it.
We didn't do much else. Filmed a video with Andrew and Mayaka.
Oh yeah.
Made a little Christmas video with them.
Yeah, and then
So
it
that
was
pretty cool.
prep for Christmas and Christmas, which again, we just stayed here, keeping it safe. Connor did come over because he stayed here for his like winter break from college, and we just did Christmas morning here like normal, and then the next day we drove to Bryce Canyon, which Bronson had never been, so
Yeah,
that was really fun. We went to Bryce for a day and then stayed at like a motel, and then kind of explored just like surrounding areas the next day and drove back, and it was just a really fun little trip. And we had from Christmas to New Year's off of work, both of us, which was really awesome. So we hung out a lot here. And then for New Year's Eve, we got together with our friends JP and Anna and Dylan and Jesse, and got a hotel in Salt Lake for the night and just like grabbed dinner and just played games and hung out with them all night to celebrate the new year, which was really fun.
Yeah. And that was it.
That was
the end of the
2020.
year. That was 2020. I mean, it was wild and it was great and it was 2020.
Now we're gonna go through, I'm sorry in advance. Bronson has a really hard time picking like favorites, best, worst. But get used to it because we're gonna do this every year. We're gonna answer the same questions for the year. You can do it. And it's okay if they're not exact. It's just what's coming to your mind at the moment. So,
I don't pick favorites.
except me. Who's your favorite?
Megan. Megan's my favorite wife.
Okay, so these are the bests, worsts, and favorites of 2020. Best purchase.
NVIDIA RTX 3060 Ti graphics card.
Okay, I'm gonna say my bike. Best show we watched. I'm gonna say Schitt's Creek.
I agree.
Loved that. That was
We really liked Schitt's Creek.
best movie watched this year. Soul was really good.
Oh yeah.
Pixar.
Yeah, Soul was really good. Honestly, I don't know.
You don't have one,
I
that's
can't.
okay.
Like, I don't even know what movies we watched this year.
Best tech that was released.
Oh, dang it. Well, I bought it. It's the NVIDIA 30 series graphics cards.
I believe PS5 was a really, really big deal. Most used social media platform. Mine was TikTok. I didn't post the most on TikTok, but I spent the most time looking at TikTok.
YouTube. Yeah. I used YouTube the most for just watching videos about FPV, watching videos about videos.
Our most made meal at home. 1, 2, 3. Quesadillas.
Yeah.
Favorite place we traveled to. I'm gonna say I have to pick 2. Big Sur and Maine.
If we can pick 2, then I'm going to say San Francisco and Boston.
Who we spent the most time with. Definitely each other, but outside of each other, I would say Connor. And then I would say our couple's friends, so Anna and JP, Jesse and Rowan. Favorite physical activity. Mine is biking outside and hiking.
Yeah, I'm going to go with hiking.
Best political quote or moment.
Biden got enough electoral votes to win the presidency.
I agree. It was that. A quote I liked was the, I'm speaking.
Oh.
Excuse me, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Also, when Kamala, there's like a TikTok of this video when Kamala was like, "We did it, Joe."
Oh, that was huge. That was
Yeah.
so viral.
You're the
You're
president.
gonna be the next president of the United States.
Yeah.
A day where you felt something powerful. I'm gonna say the day that we protested in Salt Lake for Black Lives Matter and against police brutality. You know, we actually got separated a lot in the protest, which was fine. And so I was kind of alone, and I had a lot of like reflection during it, just kind of like looking around and being really in the moment. That was a really powerful time for me.
Yeah. Agreed. I think being like in a group of people that so many like-minded people kind of like protesting and fighting for the same cause was just powerful in general. Yeah.
A new skill learned.
I learned how to fly FPV drones
Nice.
this year.
Most of my new skills this year have come in either baking and cooking or at work. Diving deeper into user experience and user interface topics. Best achievement at work.
I was working on a project and I was kind of like leading the project. So I'd say like the beginning of the year was great because I was sort of lead on this project called remarketing.
I have 2 things to comment on. One, I was on a team that had extremely tight deadlines for an app. Actually, it was mobile and desktop and mobile web. But anyway, and had some extremely late nights. And the second was that I got to like become the like lead and main designer on another app that our company is working on that I've like super enjoyed working on. The coolest place we found in our state, where we currently live, I would say the Salt Flats. I thought that was super cool. I would go back again before we move.
Yeah, I would agree, probably the Salt Flats.
And then the best thing about 2020. I'm gonna say wearing leisure clothing almost every single day.
Being forced to like be creative. Like just, you have to come up with ways to entertain yourself. And 2020 forced everybody to do that.
Last thing, biggest takeaway from 2020. Mine is that we have a really big misinformation problem on the internet, and that's something that needs to be fixed.
I would say mine is like along the same lines in that my biggest takeaway from 2020 is to be skeptical of literally everything that you hear and read. So yeah, biggest takeaway is just do your homework. Like just literally people
Google
just research
it.
stuff. Like just Google it. Google is huge right now in 2020, 2021. I mean, this is for like future generations, whenever people are watching this, like just go to the place where information is kept and look it up. Do not believe anything that anybody tells you. Just look it up yourself. Formulate opinions, and then you can have constructive debates with people, and you can like know what's going on in the world yourself. So
Well, that's it.
that's it.
That was our
2020.
year. We're happy to be in a new year,
Yeah.
and we're excited to see what comes. We've got some big changes coming, so.
We'll see what happens. Happy 2020. Bye.